Man.
Today when I was writing my piece, I was sitting there and just reflecting on how dangerous it really is, and now, to be able to use him as a martyr. Trump. I mean, Trump couldn't do it for himself because of his own staged, attack. But now having a real martyr that they could get behind,
Well, yeah, he tried to make Ashley Babbitt into a martyr. They tried to make 19-year-old Big Balls a martyr. The Doge member. That's the excuse that they did to unleash the National Guard. And now they have the murder of Charlie Kirk. Folks, I'm joined by Lev Parnas. I had 25 minutes before Danielle came on. I'm like, gotta talk to Lev. Lev has a fantastic piece out yesterday. I'm glad he wrote it because there's another aspect. There's so many different layers to the story of Charlie Kirk's murder. We still do not have a suspect. This is important. As of this recording, 1:38 p.m. Eastern Time, we still do not have a suspect, which means we still do not have a motive. That means that when Donald Trump, the president of the United States, went yesterday in front of the cameras and blamed his words, liberal criticism of conservatives as, quote, directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. He said it without evidence. When Fox yesterday, Jesse Waters and Gutfield blamed the left or liberals, they said it without evidence. When Nancy May said it, they said it without evidence. Late last night, Wired did this fantastic piece, and also Lev did a really good write up today, bringing all the receipts, which I'll link to, talking about all the right wing influencers, some major influencers on Twitter, also elected officials openly saying this is war. Left is the party of murder. That's Elon Musk. Libs of TikTok said war. And folks, again, I want to remind all of you there is no suspect, there is no motive, and we don't know. And real quick before I give it to Lev, I want to remind everyone else that when we found out about Donald Trump's assassination attempt, we saw it in real time. The right wing already said left wing, left wing, left wing. It's because you call us Nazis. It's your rhetoric. And then we found out, Lev, that the shooter was a white gun enthusiast, a Republican Trump voter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now, Lev. We still don't know the facts. They just released a photo of a potential suspect. The suspect's photo that they released, folks who haven't followed, is a young white man, black hat, glasses, with the freedom and liberty shirt with the eagle, right? I'll also tell people it maybe doesn't matter, Lev. The right wing better be careful because, they're blaming the left, the left, the left. Again, the person who tried to assassinate Donald Trump was a radicalized Trumper. And also, folks, Laura Loomer has deleted her tweets. What tweets did she delete? Oh, yes, she turned on Charlie Kirk recently quite publicly. She said he, quote, stabbed Donald Trump in the back because he platformed a libertarian comedian who has turned on Donald Trump. And also, the Groyper army, Nick Fuentes and the Nazis, hate Charlie Kirk and see him as a sellout because he supports Israel. He doesn't like Jews, but he's supporting Israel right now. So the right saw him as a traitor, right? I'm just saying you got to be careful because the president of the United States, without any evidence, Lev, has already said this. And then the last thing I'll say, Lev, is the Wall Street Journal came out with a very irresponsible report, right, which has now been shared all throughout Twitter about the fact that they allegedly recovered ammunition with the shooter's rifle that appeared to be engraved with statements expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. But check this out, folks. What they didn't include, and this is the important story. A senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation cautioned that the report had not been verified by ATF analysts, did not match other summaries of the evidence, and might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. Yesterday, they arrested an old white guy to let him go. It's a complete mess right now. And the special agent head of Salt Lake City, the FBI guy, with experience, was purged by Kash Patel. So they're just running with it right now, fueling their narrative without evidence. And Lev said, and Lev, folks, for those who don't know, was a fixer. He was in the MAGA. He knows these people. Lev is openly saying today on 9/11, the day of where we commemorate a terrorist attack, the worst terrorist attack in American history. 3,000 people were killed by 19 foreign hijackers. And folks, the fires of 9/11 still burn today. The failed war on terror, folks, they created ICE and Patriot Act. And those of us who protested that, like I did, we warned it would be used against America by perhaps an authoritarian. Voila. Lev is saying MAGA is weaponizing Charlie Kirk's death. With all of that, I yield the floor to you, Lev. Thanks for being patient as I did my rant.
No, Waj. I mean, the way you break it down, I love it. I mean, I couldn't have done a better job myself. So no, that's great. I mean, listen, we're in very, very serious times. I know. I feel like a broken record. I feel like we're, constantly talking about, but it's a really crazy world we're living in, and what transpired over the past 24 hours, and what I'm watching and seeing, the way it's playing out, and what I'm hearing in the backgrounds. This is something where Trump is now going to try to unite MAGA and back and away from the Epstein files and turn them on to the Democrats. The leaking that you're seeing that the New York, I mean, the Wall Street Journal wrote, these are leaks coming from the Cash Patels of the world. I mean, they're putting it out. You got Alex Jones already out there running around saying that this was a transgender person. He has confidential informants telling him that this was transgender. They're making the push towards transgender, and they're making already the narrative, because it doesn't matter what comes out, because remember, a truth, a lie, if it spreads for the next 2 3 days, if they're going to spread crazy lies, crazy conspiracy theories, and then the truth comes out, this was just a regular guy or a kid, whatever the case is, that won't matter, because the millions and millions and millions of people that will be already brainwashed, already tuned in. You'll already have the Laura Loomers running with it, the Benny Johnsons. You'll have all of them running with all of these crazy stories. The Alex Jones, and that's what's being happened. That's why I wrote my piece today, because when I was sitting there, I was, today's a very somber day, especially. I lost some friends and acquaintances in 9/11, going back 24 years. So every year, I even, as crazy as it sounds, but to me, one of the special things I remember being in Mega that I always cherished was on 9/11, going with Rudy, being part of all the festivities and being part of that emotional thing for the 2 years that, that I was doing, because to me, it was something special. So sitting here today, and when I was contemplating writing and watching and seeing what is being played out, and seeing how Trump already came out and already said it's the radical left, coming out, hitting already. You got Nancy Mace coming out screaming, "It's blood's on their hands. It's all the Democrats," and also, and
Can,
the
can I give you some breaking news right now?
please, please.
Senate staff just got an alert. Quote: Capitol Police are responding to an incident at the Democratic National Committee headquarters. Staff are asked to remain clear of the police activity. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, perfect segment of what I was trying to get. What I was going to say is some of the things that people don't know about. Like, for instance, my son Aaron is like, right now is figuring out and trying to, doing extra precautionary, because he's been getting crazy death threats. I've been getting crazy death threats over the past 24 hours. It's intensified to such a degree that now, and now look at the breaking news you're saying. I mean, they're trying to turn, this is exactly what I feared most, and this is exactly what Donald Trump needed most, is that, that excuse, that way of being able to, if the trigger hits, to be able to send in the guard, to be able to start, chaos. Because remember, at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is rewrite history and bury the Epstein files as far as they could go, and stay in power as long as they could go. So it is
Can I say something real quick? Even with that, and we'll follow it up tomorrow if I can get Lev on. We'll talk about the Epstein files ain't going away. Thomas Massey, today. Uh, uh, Their Epstein files will continue to expose rich and powerful men like the British ambassador to the United States, who was fired this morning. That was a man who was in the Epstein book. Why is the DOJ redacting this names? Huge piece came out today where 18,000 plus emails that just showed Ghislaine Maxwell being completely intricately tied up with Epstein were released today. A 2006 exchange shows Epstein telling Ghislaine Maxwell to remove Donald Trump from a 51 name roster. So that story ain't going away. And another story that's not going away, Lev, and I know they're going to try to distract, but this is where, and we're going to connect it together. I don't think they'll be completely successful in distracting from all these scandals, but that means they'll be more desperate. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see Donald Trump at the 9/11 memorial? Did you see the videos of him like this with his mouth like this for several
It,
minutes?
yeah, he looked very bad. I was gonna say
This
that.
I'm not making this up, guys. This looks like a post. I'm not a doctor, but having family members who've gone through this, look at him. It's not his face was like this for several minutes. Several minutes. It's on video. I'm not making this up. And I've seen this happen to people who are recovering from a stroke. What are you hearing?
It's also a condition called
Bell's
palsy.
palsy.
Bell's palsy. My mother had that. May she rest in peace. And and it's a different condition. I have not as of today yet. But I'm going to be making my calls to see. But I did see that video at that 9/11, and he looked really bad. And I saw his face. And now that you're talking about it, it makes a lot of sense. So I mean, maybe we'll follow up on that later on today or tomorrow if I get some news on that. But he didn't look good. No, I agree with you.
I had Bell's palsy earlier this year for about 2 weeks. My face was like this. For those who remember, at his age, it could be Bell's palsy, but it also could be, folks, symptoms of a stroke. But just look at the video. Trust the evidence of your eye. So he looks sick. Epstein files aren't going away. It's another big piece of news. I know we're talking about Charlie Kirk's murder, but a whole tranche of files were released earlier this week. You, me, and Zev talked about the birthday book that was released. The economic numbers have come today; they're even worse. And as this is happening, I think, like, you and I have said this, that he's a rat, and a rat that's in a corner. He's a rat that will chew through someone else's face and chew through the electrical wire, even if it burns down the country. And I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to use this as his Reichstag fire. I mean, I think you and I agree that we condemn Charlie Kirk's murder as one should. You condemn, we don't know if it was political violence. It looks like political violence because we don't have the shooter, we don't have the motive. And and you can condemn Charlie Kirk's lifetime of hate. He was a terrible person who did terrible things. This terrible man, Lev, who did terrible things, said terrible things, owned it openly, proudly. I won't even go through the list of stuff. Donald Trump used 9/11 to politicize the event, talked about Charlie Kirk getting the Medal of Freedom, and now he's being flown with JD Vance. I
I was
mean,
gonna,
they
I
made him
mean,
into a martyr.
and just think about the discuss. Well, they're making, and that's why I wrote my piece because it's becoming when I'm watching play out. I mean, because they need his base. Because what you gotta understand is Charlie Kirk was a big part of that mega base from the young vote, so they can't lose that base. They don't have anybody. Because remember, I when I was when Charlie Kirk came and I first met him in 2017, 2018. He came to us to America first. Him and Candace Owens, the two of them. It was a twin, a pair of between the two of them that they were going to go into the colleges, and even they were recruiting my son Aaron at the time. It's a crazy world, and I was so hard part of Mega. I used to fight with my son and say to him, "Are you crazy? You got the president. Where you're going to be part of this group, the Young Vote." Aaron was like 18 at the time, just in George Washington Law School, and me and him had a whole blow up. And he said, "Dad, I'm not doing." Walked away, and that was like his interaction with Charlie and Candace. But they don't have anybody right now. Somebody like Charlie, because you could love him, you could hate him, you could he and I like I start off my article as I disagree with him on everything. He's vile. He was vile. My father told me never talk bad about the deceased, so I don't want to sit here and talk about what he did. But I'll tell you the one
I'll
thing.
do that later. Don't worry. I'll do that later.
I
Bit
appreciate
me
it.
up.
I would appreciate it. But I'll tell you one thing is that he was perfect for that party. I mean, what he was able to do in the period of the past 8 years and the or 9 years that he's been around Trump, and really, I mean, he was a big reason why Trump is in office today again. Also, and but yes, he pushed some really vile agendas and some some really awful stuff that he talked about. But the one thing also, Waj, I wanted to talk about that we don't even talk about because of all the craziness. Just think about what's going on. Like the world is on fire. Forget about the United States is on fire. Forget
Russia,
about
Poland,
the
Venezuela,
say
Qatar.
That's what I was gonna say to you. Just think about it. Right now, we have today, literally, because we're not talking about it, because we're being the media is all into 9/11, which it should be, and the homicide of Charlie Kirk has to be covered also, because guys, we still have the killers on the run. That, like Wash said, so nobody knows who this person is, a he, a she, if there was a group of people together, if there's not so. But in the meantime, the attack, and that's why I wrote that it's coming so hard onto the left, that it's already they're painting the narrative. They're already setting up the guidelines. They're bringing out that anger from out of mega. Like they got, like I was watching, and it's so crazy. Even like Netanyahu, he's no better than fucking Trump. Excuse me for my that I
No, he's
was
terrible. He's a war criminal. They're all
he,
this. I called it the axis of evil. I said the new axis of
I
evil left is Putin,
Putin.
Netanyahu, and Trump is Fredo.
Yeah, me and you are on the same page. So I wrote the same. So Netanyahu today went on Fox, giving this whole thing about, what's his name? Charlie
Uh,
Kirk, talking about how he invited him over there to Israel, and how, I mean, you should see the way they're painting him out to be like and again, I'm listen, I don't want to talk bad about that, but he's no hero. He's not. I mean, compared to, just think about what Trump did a few months ago when we had two Democratic politicians that were murdered, slaughtered in Minnesota. Trump never showed up, never gave. He didn't even put the flags halfway down.
he
So
didn't even
what
call. Melissa
exactly?
Hortman didn't call.
Didn't even call, and that's part of what we're seeing. We're seeing a basic push to try to get into, and that's what really scared me, is I'm seeing he's feeding into the mega deep inside, and this is one of those things. I couldn't imagine, because me and you spoke a couple of days ago, and I was here, and I said nothing is going to unite MAGA, and I'm telling you right now, Waj, you're hearing it first from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing, and I mean and they're gonna try to use this and milk it to the fullest and try to use him as a
Oh
martyr.
no, they're already doing it. So real quick. I want to just to follow up on what you said. I did this tweet that you might appreciate yesterday. I saw Netanyahu's tweet, and then quote, I retweeted him with a link to the ADL, the Anti Defamation League, and everything they wrote about Charlie Kirk promoting hate and anti-Semitism. So I'm very curious how they reconcile that. Number one. Number two, they're already using this, regardless of the facts, to push this war on the left. It's already being done. It started happening yesterday. I'm so glad you wrote that article. Wired wrote that article. Today they're doing it right now. The siege mentality, right? And they don't care about the facts, right? Also, the third thing you mentioned, the hypocrisy that should be called out. Melissa Hortman is dead. Melissa Hortman and her husband are dead. Vance Bolter, the man who killed him, Trump voter, radicalized by QAnon, MAGA, right? As soon as we found out that the shooter was a white man, no mouse farts, not a single peep or word. Remember that, Lev? Just
Yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Uh,
just
and and he never called. He never did any of this pomp. He never. New York Yankees never did a memorial to her like they did Charlie Kirk. There was no like Axios articles like this. I mean, it's so disgusting, the double standard, which means our lives don't matter. But this is where I will say this is a strange way of saying good news, Lev, because I follow, because I'm a masochist, MAGA, just to know how they operate. I see fissures. I completely agree with you. They're trying to rally the base because they see the base is splintered, right? We still don't have a suspect. The shooter could be a Trumper. Charlie Kirk had made enemies. Laura Loomer went against him, and the Nazis went against him. What I've been trying to tell some of these MAGA folks and also some right wing Jews who went with MAGA, and I said, folks, you don't know who you're in bed with. I said, some of the folks that you're in bed with, Nick Fuentes is an anti Semite. Donald Trump dined with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. Ben Shapiro, watch out. You're in bed with actual Nazis and anti Semites. These people hate Jews, Lev, and these people hate Israel and are radicalized in using Israel's genocide in Gaza to
the ta-
cause more divisions. And the
Yeah,
fact that Charlie Kirk realized his bread is buttered by being pro-Israel, even though he's against the Jews, right? And they see him as a traitor. That's the Laura Loomer said you stabbed Trump in the back, and the Groypers, the Nick Fuentes Nazis, said Charlie Kirk, you are our guy, but now you're a traitor. So, Lev, if we find out that it's a white guy, it's and already if you're looking online, it's these right wingers, these kind of white supremacists, these Nazis, these anti-Semites who are already blaming Israel and Mossad and the Jews. Uh, it seems like the coalition is splintering, Lev.
I agree with you 100% that the coalition splintering, but it's very difficult for me to be able to trust any information that we get out that's going to come from this, if it's even going to be the person, the real person, or what story is being painted right now, what narrative is taken care of. I mean, these people, I've been part of Mega, I know them very well. Wouldn't surprise me for a bit if this person, if they realize that this is like a Trumper or something like that they would let him go and find another like scapegoat
Wow.
that might be trans and put it out. I mean, because um,
It doesn't matter, basically.
it exactly what I'm saying to you is the narrative's being written. The story they're already painting the picture. It doesn't matter who that shooter is, if it's going to be a Trump supporter or a Democrat or a trans or not. They've already started. And that's why I'm saying it's already. That's why people need to realize. That's why the media needs to wake up. It started. You got Donald Trump. I mean, this is the next step I'm hearing is they're going to hold memorial service for him like you're not even ready for. I mean, they're gonna this is gonna turn into a shit show like a shit shows like, and they're gonna rally the troops because most of the followers in Mega, this is what really gets them. Like this is what gets the rah 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 January 6th, if you understand, and this is the type of things that they are planning. That's why you're seeing right now all of these coming out of the world, like Nancy Mace. You see, Congressman Mullins coming out talking about that there's an attack on Christianity. I'm saying to you, you got all of this coming up. It's building that fire and that rage from one side to the other, because that's why we're here. Because there's only one reason we're here, folks. There's only one reason that everything is happening the way it's happening. The division is because of one man, Donald J. Trump. It's because of what he has done, and his enablers that he has pushed in the Congress and in the Senate that have allowed him to do it. Everything is transpiring. So you could blame, whoever you want, but the true people that have blood on their hands, the true people that are the cause of all the destruction and all the killings and all the results of what's happening right now, is the people sitting in that Congress and Senate that have confirmed all of Donald Trump's people, all the people that allow him to do what he does, and especially him as he's the leader. So it doesn't matter who they brainwash, because as of now, I promise you, within the next 72 hours, they're gonna. Oh, let me even go further, and I apologize that I'm ranting
No,
like
not at
this,
all.
because it really got to me. But it goes even further. This is just the beginning, because Russia has now picked up
There,
on this.
there you go.
So this is not just going to be a right wing push. It's not going to be right now. You have the ex president of Russia tweeting out today. If I may read it for a second,
Please.
Raj, because this is really disgusting. So Dmitry Medvedev put a tweet out today saying, "Political crimes and assassinations have been carried out lately by a variety of left wing liberal scum who support the Banderas in Kiev. FICO Kirk, who's next? Maybe it's time for MAGA team to realize that by supporting Ukraine, they're supporting murderers." Just think about that, folks, for 1 second. Just think about the language that's been used, and how already Russia's already condemned the left. So the machine is coming. So that's why, again, it doesn't matter what happens next. The fact that they, the fact that he's still on the loose. I mean, just think about all the cameras, even the press conference they had today. If you listen carefully, they said, we know what he looks like, we know where he is, we know, they leaked a little bit. We're gonna do it our way. If it doesn't happen, then we'll let the media know. Again, being around that world, knowing how shit works, Waj, knowing how things like, get, and it's all theatrics right now. I would be scared to what's being prepared to come out, and the way and the way they bring it out.
I look, I don't disagree with you at all. I completely agree with your analysis. My only hope was that I see some splinters and fissures, and I think the only way to exacerbate those fissures is Epstein. And so I'm going to give respect to Thomas Massey. 2 hours point. He says we're still going to stay on Epstein. I think the other thing is if it ends up being a white shooter, you're going to see the fissures within MAGA split up a little bit more between Nick Fuentes, Loomer, the Nazis, and all these other guys. But I agree with you that they won't care. And they already don't care. Look at all the lies that they've used to unleash the National Guard in DC, and the lies that they used to unleash the National Guard in LA, and the lies that they're using to unleash the National Guard in Chicago. And they're going to use this as their Reichstag fire for what you and I and others have kept saying, that their ultimate goal is martial law. Their ultimate goal is for Donald Trump to stay in power forever. Their ultimate goal is to give the reins of power to JD Vance after Donald Trump dies. Their ultimate goal is to cheat and rig the elections. They're gerrymandering openly. They're going after mail in voting. They're threatening and silencing their critics. They're promoting conspiracy theories. And now, quite literally, they are riling up their armed base to declare war on the quote unquote left. And right now, I don't know if you saw the Federalist Society did this piece saying that the Democrats are a terrorist organization. And what's so infuriating is it's all projection, because all the stochastic terrorism has come from Donald Trump over the past 10 years. It was a Trumper who tried to kill the media. It was a Trumper who killed the judge's son. It was a Trumper who last month attacked the CDC and killed a cop. It was a Trumper who tried to kill Donald Trump. It was a Trumper who attacked Paul Pelosi, and corporate media just completely Lev just drops the ball on this. It's so infuriating. It's so like I'm sitting there looking at these. Matthew Dowd got fired yesterday for nothing. Meanwhile, Jesse Waters is openly talking about war. Go ahead, Lev. You wanted to say something. I mean, my mind is like, and I'm a calm person. I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, I'm being gaslit in real time.
No, and that you made a great point with about what's happening with MSNBC. This is how Trump, and this is what I keep screaming, that the Democrats have to start controlling the airwaves, the media, the narrative. And again, they're on the defense. You got a guy that, yes, it is. Let's understand. Nobody here is for anybody getting killed for
No,
speaking. I'm going to make that clear, very clear. It's a tragedy. I mean, the kids, the family, right there. Now, with that said, put aside, this is an individual. I mean, it's like the same thing. He spewed some very vile stuff. He had a very big agenda. He had a very big following. And between me and you, like I not confirmed, but I could tell you some of the rumblings I'm even hearing, that he was the threat of becoming the next Donald Trump,
yeah,
that could take over Mega. I never spoke about this before because it wasn't the right time, because they were talking about 10 years from now getting him ready, but he was the real threat. And I'll tell you another thing that I wouldn't put it past special forces, like in Russia, like the KGB, the way Putin plays it, the way I know their mindset is, because all they need is to continue division, continue destruction.
absolutely.
I wouldn't put it past them sending in somebody in to take out somebody like Charlie Kirk, because for them Charlie Kirk was also not positive, because Charlie Kirk did not stand for the Russian beliefs. They just agree. He just stood for Donald Trump. He didn't stand for Russia. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of different players and a lot of different things that are going on, that are happening, and the fact that the way Cash Patel's already is on Twitter, and already, we got him, we released him, we got the confusion
Just a
going.
mess. Just a mess.
I mean, this is the director of the FBI, folks. This is and he's worried about being the first one to tweet out to get the credit that he broke the news. I mean, he is the news, and he's worried about breaking the news. He can't even get confirmation before he puts it out there. And with the Alex Jones stuff today, it's only watch. Listen, it hasn't even been 24 hours, and we're seeing all of these moving parts. And just think about again, what I want to say is, just think about everything we're talking about, everything we're seeing, everything we're reading, everything we're learning about. And I promise you, that's not even 10% of what's really going on, what we're not hearing, what we're not reading, what's going on behind the scenes. Trust me, I've been there. I know how it works. A lot of it is a lot of chasing, a lot of manipulation. But from the little seeds that I'm picking up and from the sources that I'm speaking with, this is going to get worse. They
Yep.
are going to turn this, and the Democrats, and when I say Democrats, not you folks, I'm talking about the leadership, but the Democrats, they better get their shit together. And I'm talking about Prisker, all of them, because I'm telling you, this wave, with this martyrism that they're planning on putting, and with the push they're going to get from Russia that I'm seeing already coming in, I mean, because Russia needs to distract. Remember, they just hit Poland, folks. Just
Yep.
think about that. Russia sent 19, not one, not by accident fell, 19 drones into Poland where they scrambled NATO jets and to had to shoot them down. And it's
Yep.
not even spoken about. Poland has
I know.
the
I talked about it. I talked about it. We talked about it yesterday with Olivia Troy. Guys, go back and watch my 1 hour with Olivia Troy. I'm not just saying it because it's mine, but we broke it down. We broke down what's happening in Israel. We broke down what's happening in Qatar. We broke down what's happening with Russia, and we connected everything to the chaos. We said that the war in Venezuela is going to be the pretext for the ongoing war in America, and no matter what happens, Russia wins. No matter what happens, Putin wins because chaos, instability, violence, disinformation. America's weakened, right? So you said there's one man. It goes back to Donald Trump, and then I was just gonna add one edit, Lev, and Putin.
Oh yeah. Well, Putin's the main. I mean, when I say Donald Trump, I'm talking about us in our country, immediate for what's happening. But on the overall global, it's Putin. How about this? Let me give you another one that I don't know if you guys spoke about it, this, or you guys know. Remember, I broke a while ago about Sergei Gore. Everybody
Yeah.
wrote about Sergei Gore, that the gentleman that is the Russian. Uh, I don't know how you want to call it, but the guy that is in charge of hiring people won't even do his own background check because of his relationships to Russia and his connections to the Kremlin. So where Sergei Gore is right now. He's been promoted, and he is now the ambassador to India.
Mm.
So you got the Russian, you got the Russian that you can't make this shit up. Basically, Trump saying, you know what, here India, deal with Russia directly. Here's your own ambassador. Here's your like Putin. It's like Putin has his own American ambassador with India. I mean,
And can we just remind people, for those who don't know, because you and I connect the dots, most people don't, because there's a lot happening, folks. And go back and watch my conversation with Olivia yesterday. I'm not saying it just because it's my conversation, but we covered this, and I think it will be very helpful to people. Donald Trump lays out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, kisses his ass, gives him verbal fellatio. Right after that happens, you know what? He essentially fires 37 domestic and foreign intelligence officers, revokes their security clearance. What were those people doing? They were working on foreign interference, Russia's interference in America. What else does he do last week? He all of a sudden cuts aid to our European allies and countries that are bordering Russia. What happens 2 days ago? Russia sends drones to Poland, saber rattling, testing the fences. What does Israel do? Bombs Qatar, a non NATO ally that has a U.S. base. Right now, because we have incompetent people and because they're dog walking Donald Trump, Israel said, we coordinated with Trump. Then Trump said, oh, no, I didn't know about it. Oh, maybe I did know about it. They're all playing Donald Trump. And right now, Donald Trump, with his war on Venezuela, Olivia Troy told me that when she worked with Stephen Miller, his dream was, folks, she said this yesterday. He said he wants to bomb Mexico. He wants to bomb Central American countries because he says that they're bringing drugs to America. He has used the word invasion. He says we're at war. He has used that as a pretext for the National Guard. He has used the word insurrection. And now that they have their martyr, Charlie Kirk, and now that they're weaponizing their base, it's going to be armed militias, ICE, National Guard, military law. My fear, Lev, is he's going for martial law. It's clear as day. And final word to you, what should the people and Democrats be saying and doing right now? Because they'll listen to you, they don't listen to me.
Unfortunately, Waj, they don't even listen to me. I've been, the past several weeks, I've been working behind the scenes very strongly, trying to give advice, even give information that obviously, as you could see, is pretty good information. And I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. I don't want to go out there right now. This is not time to go out and start blowing up people's shops. I'm still giving it a little bit of time to see what's going on and what's happening. But it's confusing to me to see that there's really nobody that there nobody wants. It's like, I don't know. Nobody wants to win. Nobody wants to. They're all in that stage of like. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, Waj, because I don't know. I would. I can't imagine how. And again, this is, you don't have to take my word for it. You and I both know that everything I've been saying is documented. It's time stamped. You could see it. You could do it. You know my history. You know what it's like. Like, it's like, how do you not? How are you not knocking? Instead of, not only that, you tell me. You know the kind of answers I'm getting, Waj. The governor might be is too busy, or he has podcasts lined up. Really? And and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, really? So I don't know I don't know even what to tell him. The one thing I will tell you is, and I've been speaking to my son Aaron about this, and I think this is a very important vacuum that we do. And I think, Waj, you should push this message, and to everybody else, forget about the leadership. We should do it ourselves. Is There's going to be a huge vacuum right now in that Gen Z population. Without Charlie Kirk, though, they don't. I'm telling you, they don't have anybody to take Turning Point USA and That's why they're more in a shambles, because they don't know how to keep that machine going, keep that vote, and get those young voters to keep generating and moving it. So I think there's a huge vacuum and a huge opportunity right there, that if we had some young organizations or young groups that could go out there, not be extremely far left, but be more centrist, and try to go out there and right now start going into these schools and charters. I mean, because and start picking it off. I think
Yep.
that could be tremendous, tremendous
Because
win.
all the young voters, there's two groups that have abandoned Donald Trump who voted for him in 2024. Latino voters have gone back to their 2016 numbers, and folks, young voters. It's ripe. Go to them, give them an economic populist message, be like Mondani, win them over, talk to them, smile, be joyful warriors, give them hope, give them solutions. They'll come to you. They went for Trump because he was anti establishment. He wanted to change stuff up. They realized this guy's crock of shit. Oh my God, the prices have gone higher. The economy's gone worse. They've abandoned him. All the young voters and Latino voters have abandoned him in 7 months. Wide open lane, folks, wide open lane. And also the Epstein files. We'll talk about it tomorrow if we have time. A lot of stuff happening right now, but more Epstein emails dropped today, folks. And yeah, I'll give my credit to Thomas Massey. Despite all of this 2 hours ago, he's like, I'm not going to stop. I do not think, Lev, you and I agree. I don't think he can escape Epstein. I think Epstein is one of his cankles, and I also think the economy is another cankle. I'm going to add a third cankle: his health. Go back and look at that video, Lev. Look at that video, and let's talk tomorrow if you have time.
Yeah, I'm going.
He don't look right.
Yeah, and with the Epstein, don't forget, he's going over now to the UK, and in the UK, for those of you that might have not heard, because there was a letter in the book from the UK ambassador of UK to the United States that just got canned.
He
He
just
got
got canned.
Yeah, he got thrown out, so it's all over the UK newspapers, and Trump's about to be going over there. So it's going to hound him. He's not getting away from the Epstein, like Wash says, 100%. But I want to leave everybody off of, and I know they're watching, because we have all of the campaigns. They got their aides watching us, what we're talking, reporting to them. So here's my advice to all of you, Democratic leadership right now. What you need to do is get off your ass and put together a group. You have a group of people like Miles Taylor, you got a group of Olivia Troy, myself, and others. I'm not going to give you the whole list of people. Put together consolidation, Mary Trump, people that know Donald Trump, people that work by Donald Trump, people that know his administration, people that know them intimately, and put together that group of people and start listening to what we're telling you. Start listening to the what we're hearing, what we know, what we're doing, and stop playing the games. And maybe if you do it quick enough, we will save our democracy. So that would be my message to them.
Go on offense legally as joyful warriors, not like what MAGA right now is trying to do and incite straight up civil war. Their words, not ours. Lev has a fantastic piece. I'm glad he wrote it. I didn't have time, called MAGA Weaponizes Charlie Kirk's Death. Came out today. I will link to it. For the 2,000 people who are watching, we've been speaking for about 40 minutes. We're going to have this conversation up in an hour on Lev's Substack and my Substack. Lev remembers, go sign up, become a paid subscriber. We're independent. This is the Left Hook. I have no paywalls. Everything is for free. And as Lev leaves, I'm going to bring on Danielle Moody. Lev, I'll give you the final word.
Guys, listen. You hear me say it all the time. You hear Wash say it all the time. Right now, we're at the precipice of history, and the one thing I'm going to tell you is we're all going to be judged. And I tell you all the time, close your eyes for just 1 minute and just think to yourself, what can I do? What can I do today to make a difference? Each and every one of us could do something, from writing a letter to reposting the message to becoming a subscriber to becoming a paid subscriber to making a phone call to your congressman to getting out there and protesting. Everyone could do something, but doing nothing is not an option. So that I ask of you and I plead of you, go out there and do something. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right, Lev. We'll talk tomorrow about the Epstein files. I'll connect with you. And I got my co-host Danielle Moody.
Hi, Dan.
We usually
Hi, love.
Take care,
thank
guys.
thank you, Danielle, for waiting. Lev said he didn't want to talk ill of Charlie Kirk, even though he's terrible. And I said, don't worry. Danielle and I got you covered. Because take care, for the 2,100 people who have joined us, Danielle and I are going to talk about, well, a lot, but the corporate whitewashing of Charlie Kirk's hate. I have the receipts. I am infuriated. I feel like banging my head against the wall, Danielle. Some of these op-eds, the hagiography, the whitewashing, the sanitizing. I think you and I agree.
Uh-huh.
You can condemn murder, and if it is, we still do not. It's 2:18 p.m. on Thursday. We do not have a suspect. Despite us not having a suspect, Donald Trump and essentially the entirety of MAGA have already blamed "quote unquote" the left.
Yep.
So responsible. They have fanned and are actively fanning violence against the left. I don't know if you saw the news, but Senate staffers just got an alert. Capitol Police are responding to an incident at the DNC headquarters. Staff are asked to remain clear of police activity.
Yep.
Charlie Kirk is getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Charlie Kirk is being accompanied by J.D. Vance. Pete Hegseth commanded the troops to pray for him. Donald Trump, who seems like he might be suffering from a stroke, politicized the 9/11 ceremony today and mentioned that Charlie Kirk would get the Medal of Freedom. No suspect is found. A photo came out. The photo, we still don't know, it's still a photo of the suspect, is a white man. Thank you, God, that it was a white man. With a black hat, sunglasses, with a Freedom and Liberty shirt. People are bringing the receipts that Laura Loomer turned on Charlie Kirk recently, said that he stabbed Trump in the back. People are bringing the receipts that the Nazis, the Groypers, Nick Fuentes, and his group have turned on Charlie Kirk for supporting Israel. And Danielle, okay, folks, we're gonna keep it real. Some people say don't speak ill of the dead. F that. F that. Charlie Kirk was a hateful piece of shit. And I rarely swear, but you can condemn murder and call him a piece of shit, which he was. He used his entire life, Danielle, all his talents to promote hate, to radicalize young people and give them targets. The targets were women, Black people, immigrants, transgender people, Muslims. He was proud of it. He doubled down on it. He made money off of it, right? And I'm just going to give you a quick few things of what he said, Danielle. And then I'm going to show you the reporting that corporate media did, all right? A few things that Charlie Kirk openly said. Gay people should be stoned to death. Most people are scared when they see a black pilot flying. No one should be allowed to retire. Leftists should not be allowed to move to red states. The guy who
Because we
assaulted
want to.
the guy who assaulted Paul Pelosi should be bailed out. Religious freedom should be terminated. MLK Jr. was an awful person. The great replacement theory, the white nationalist conspiracy that has radicalized terrorists, is reality. Vaccine requirements are medical apartheid. The Civil Rights Act was a huge mistake. Mamdani winning in New York is a travesty because Muslims did 9/11.
Run the
Muslims only
receipts.
Muslims only come to America to destabilize Western civilization.
Run it.
Palestine doesn't exist.
Yep.
Um, no separation of church and state, and on and on and on. Oh, I can't stand the word empathy. I think empathy is a made up New Age term that does a lot of damage. And then finally, in 2023, after another school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee, he was asked about it. He said, I'm going to give you the full quote.
Mm-hmm.
You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so then we could have the Second Amendment to protect our God given rights. The ADL did a full backgrounder on him promoting hate. Southern Poverty Law Center last year came out with a huge article about him promoting hate against women, transgender people, LGBTQ people, immigrants, supporting white nationalist conspiracies. He tripled down on it on the Jubilee debate. He said black people were better off in slavery. And with all of that, Danielle, this is what Ezra Klein wrote. Charlie Kirk was practicing politics the right way. And with all of that, Axios had this laudatory thing about him. With all of that, the New York Yankees yesterday, before their game, took a moment of silence. With all of that, every single living president said something nice about Charlie Kirk. And Matthew Dowd, yesterday on MSNBC, he said Charlie Kirk has been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech, sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then say these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place. And that's the unfortunate environment we're in. MSNBC fired Matthew Dowd for that. Charlie Kirk is sanitized, whitewashed, and elevated for his lifetime of hate. And Jesse Waters on Fox yesterday, and Greg Gutfeld and others are talking about declaring war on the left. Sorry for my rant, Danielle. I had to get that off my chest. I was waiting all day. I yield the floor to you.
Well, here are my thoughts. And I saved them all, Waj, for you.
Thank
Because I went to bed last night and I said, wow, isn't this all so convenient? I said to myself. I said, what we're watching the media do right now with their memoriam of Charlie Kirk is basically a preview to what they will do with Donald Trump. When Donald Trump, leaves this good earth, we will hear about how he was a peacekeeper. We will hear about how he was a charismatic leader. We will hear about all of these wondrous things about Donald Trump because that's what the media does. And today, what I posted on Instagram is that this gaslighting that we are seeing, this overt gaslighting by mainstream corporate media, shows you everything that you need to know, that the media has always moved in lockstep with fascism and white nationalism. The
Absolutely.
media is absolutely and totally complicit. And I posted a quote from Malcolm X that said that the power of the media is to convince you that guilty people are innocent and innocent people are guilty. Right? Like that is what power looks like when you can control the minds of the masses. Malcolm X said that like 6 decades ago,
Yep.
and nothing has changed. And so what you are seeing right now, I believe, and you know what, and I said this morning to one of my friends, and then I said, and the both of us said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but, and then put together our thoughts. And so I'm going to offer up the thoughts to you and to the folks that are watching because I think that it's important. What was Charlie Kirk doing this summer that got under Donald Trump's skin? Charlie Kirk was one of the main voices that was calling for transparency around the Epstein files. As a matter of fact, at Turning Point USA in July, he sat down and interviewed Megyn Kelly, where him and Megyn Kelly went on for God knows how long, because I posted many of their clips on the Danielle Moody show on the day that it came out, where they were calling for transparency and saying that the people that were around Donald Trump were doing him a disservice by making it seem as if Donald Trump was complicit in the Epstein, and if they would just release the files, then all would be well. And was the constant drumbeat that Charlie Kirk had had. What was really interesting is that in early July, Charlie Kirk receives a phone call after him, Joe Rogan, and all of these other MAGA influencers are calling for the release of the Epstein files, right? He receives a phone call from Donald Trump in early July, and then he gets on his show and he says, "You know what? Spoken to the president. I believe and I have full faith and integrity in the White House." That lasted for a week, maybe. By the end of July, he was sitting at Turning Point USA across from Megyn Kelly, where they were once again putting center stage what? The Epstein files. So I leave that there because in all of the conversations that are happening right now, to turn Charlie Kirk into a martyr, to call his murder an assassination, to use the Yankees to use this hateful villain, this vile person, for a moment of silence on a day. Can somebody tell me the last time that the Yankees held a moment of silence for school shootings? Can somebody tell me what sports team held a moment of silence for House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, who were murdered, who were actually assassinated by a MAGA Vance Bolter, who shot her, killed her, her husband, and her dog for their beliefs? Okay, so tell me where the heart outpouring and the posting that Ezra Klein did and the articles and all of these things that come out, where was this for a sitting representative, a House Speaker in Minnesota who was murdered, right? And then that same day, that same person, Vance Bolter, a two-time Trump supporter, a two-time Trump voter, goes and shoots, right, another sitting member of the state Senate and his wife, who were in critical condition, now released into rehab. Where was this outpouring? Where was this softballing, right? And talking and lifting up the fact that there's an escalation in political violence. Donald Trump sat silent, did not attend did not attend her funeral, did not offer any fucking sympathies, not in the day, not in the weeks that were following, but in the minutes that Charlie Kirk was announced that he was dead. Him and his whore wife were on social media talking about, let's put out our flags at half mast. You don't do that for dead children.
Yep.
You don't offer the sympathies and the support and the recognition of this country, of our escalation of violence towards our kids. You don't offer that, but you offer it towards this motherfucker who's been on camera talking about the fact that Black women do not have intelligence, and that is
Mhm.
why they need affirmative action, because otherwise those jobs would go to better serving white men.
Yep.
That LGBTQ people need to be stoned. This is what the Yankees took a moment of silence for. This is what MSNBC fired somebody for trying to gaslight us into believing that this man, this villain, is somehow worthy of our empathy and sympathy, when he himself said that empathy is some new age shit. And he said that after a school shooting.
Yep.
Dead children lay dead, bleeding in their classrooms. And Charlie Kirk took to his platform with tens of millions of followers to say that they don't deserve empathy. So, my God, if there was a time for folks to say, I am done with mainstream media, I am done with supporting that the system of white nationalism, I am done with offering them my eyeballs and my energy and my attention, it is this moment. And then the final thing that I will say is this, and it's not the final thing, it's just the final thing in this moment that I will say. I find it very interesting that one, The shooter has not been caught. I find it very interesting. This happens on the day before 9/11. I find it very interesting that he was also killed on the day that the Senate voted 51-49 not to release the Epstein files. And again, we're not going to have all of these conversations because folks don't like connecting the dots, because folks don't like understanding the truth. But here is the thing: MAGA is going to use this, and they're already using this as an escalation into blue states and blue places. I do not trust any of the photos that come out of this FBI. I do not trust anything that is going to come out, and neither should anyone else, because they have an agenda here, folks. They already have tanks and soldiers on the ground in blue cities. This is the escalation. This is the flashpoint that they have been waiting for. Without evidence, without background, without anything, Donald Trump is on social media talking about the radical left. You have Nancy Mace talking about the radical left. This is blood on Democrats' hands. Again, where is the media asking them, what were your thoughts on Melissa Hortman? What were your thoughts on Paul Pelosi? Where was your empathy? Where was your sympathy? Where was the calling on violence anywhere is a threat to all of us? All of you, right? Media won't do that. Instead, they're going to turn this motherfucker into a deity, and MAGA's going to use it as their reason to entry into martial law. Those are my thoughts.
But tell me how you really feel, Danielle.
I wish I could.
This is Axios's framing from earlier today. Charlie Kirk, the singular leader of MAGA's next generation, who is survived by his wife and 2 young children, was a fierce champion of the right to free expression. His voice was silenced by assassin's bullet. Axios. That was their tweet. That was their post. Folks, as Danielle said, and I have said also for the 2,500 people who are watching, as of 2:32 p.m. Eastern Time, there is no suspect. They have not been apprehended yet. That means we still don't know the motive or the ideology, assuming there was one. Despite there being no suspect, Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, elected Republican officials, the Federalist Society, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, and others have already blamed the left. They are already declaring war on the left. This is happening at a time when there are 2,000 National Guard members armed right here 20 minutes away from me, wasting their time terrorizing DC residents, while ICE agents were given a green light, Danielle, earlier this week by this corrupt piece of shit Supreme Court conservative majority that said, you know what? You should not look at race when it comes to college admissions. How dare we actually do affirmative action and try to level the playing field? No, no, no. But hey, masked armed ICE agents, you can use racial profiling to crack brown skulls in LA. They have already used this murder of Charlie Kirk to weaponize their base to attack the left. And folks, because facts still matter, the Wall Street Journal, in a very reckless way, talked about this source, right? I don't know if you saw this, Danielle. A source that said local officials recovered ammunition with the shooter's rifle that appeared to be engraved with statements, quote, expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. What they didn't say in the headline is the following, and I want to repeat this, and I said this with Lev because it's important, folks, because it's all over social media. But senior law enforcement official with direct knowledge of the investigation cautioned that the report had not been verified by ATF analysts, did not match other summaries of the evidence, and might turn out to have been misread or misinterpreted. Which means you cannot trust this mother effing conspiratorial hack Kash Patel led FBI and this law enforcement Attorney General Pam Bondi, who told Donald Trump in May he was all over the Epstein files, which means, folks, since May, the Donald Trump administration has been engaged in a cover-up and has been lying to the American people. And as this is happening, Danielle, to draw another thread, we still don't know the names of the 11 victims who were killed by Donald Trump in international waters, whom he alleges were drug traffickers. But we found out yesterday that this boat was actually turning around. was turning around and going back to the United States once they realized they were being followed. But Donald Trump unilaterally, without any evidence or due process any evidence that he's revealed, bombed and killed these 11 people, suggesting that they were drug traffickers. Even if they were drug traffickers, folks, they still are entitled to due process. But Donald Trump and JD Vance said, we don't care. They're terrorists. We unilaterally call them out as terrorists, and we have the right to blow them up. If they can blow up 11 people without due process, not release the evidence, not release their names, and simply claim that they're terrorists, Danielle, what will they do to us? Look at the evidence of your eyes and ears. It is already happening. As of yesterday, with the rhetoric, as of what's happening in LA, as of what's happening in DC, about what's happening in Chicago. And folks, as this is happening, we have a impotent, I would say weak, pathetic Democratic leadership that has no plan whatsoever to combat a blatant authoritarian agenda. And I've used this analogy before, and I'll use it again. I know, Danielle, you want to say something, so I'll give it to you again. They are telling you their Bond supervillain plot. It is the most helpful Bond villain in the history of Bond villains. It's like the Bond villain who comes out in the first 10 minutes, finds James Bond and says, excuse me, are you James Bond? I'm the supervillain. Can I give you my PowerPoint about how I want to kill you and take over the world? They're
Yeah.
literally telling you the plot. And then yesterday, they're showing you that Charlie Kirk is being elevated into a martyr, thanks in part to corporate media, let's be honest, that have created a hagiography, a saintly biography of Charlie Kirk, whitewashed him. They made him into the martyr. They're trying to make big balls into a martyr, folks. I want to bring the receipts real quick. Why are there National Guard members in DC? You all remember why? 19-year-old Doge employee Big Balls alleged that he was hijacked by brown teenagers. Donald Trump came out and said, there's too much crime in DC. So because of mother effing Big Balls, Danielle, 20 minutes away from me, we got 2,000 armed National Guard members. They made Ashley Babbitt into a martyr. Violent insurrectionist who was radicalized by QAnon, who was part of the 1,600 violent insurrectionists inspired by Trump, who Trump pardoned. She got shot because she didn't listen to the cops and she tried to violently, get into the Capitol building. She was killed. They made her into a martyr. They gave her family a $5 million wrongful death settlement, and they just buried her with honors, right? They gave her a memorial, excuse me. They did an Ashley Babbitt memorial, excuse me, just last week, all right? So now they have their martyr. This guy's named Charlie Kirk. But one thing I want to do say to your point about the conspiracy theories. Can I read to you what Laura Loomer said about Charlie Kirk, please, real quick?
Please.
I don't ever want to hear Charlie Kirk claim he is pro-Trump ever again. This was recently. She deleted this yesterday, folks. After this weekend, Itzi has revealed himself as a political opportunist, and I have had a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next. TPUSA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. On the one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt on Trump's life, Charlie hosted comic Dave Smith at TPUSA's conference, where Dave Smith was able to speak to a bunch of conservative youth at an organization that claims to be pro-Trump. 3 weeks ago, Dave Smith called for Trump to be impeached and removed from office over his decision to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities. Charlie played both sides of the Iran issue on his show, as we all saw, because he wants to play both sides of the aisle. The honorable thing to do is to have a position and actually defend it to death instead of flip-flopping. Smith said all of MAGA should turn on Trump and abandon him. He said this 3 weeks ago. See the clip below. TPUSA is definitely not pro-Trump. If they were, they certainly aren't anymore. Out of all the incredible pro-Trump voices out there who support the president, Charlie decided to host Dave Smith. It really is shameful. And I'm honestly just disgusted by the nonstop flip-flopping on the right. She deleted it yesterday, folks. And also, Nick Fuentes, the Nazi, the leader of the Groypers, who Donald Trump dined with. That Nick Fuentes, pro-Hitler, pro-whiteness Nick Fuentes. The Groypers hate Charlie Kirk because they said he's a cuck for Israel for supporting Israel's war in Gaza. The photo got released of the suspect. It's a white man with white shades, black shades, a black hat, in a freedom and liberty shirt. And I ask you this, Danielle, what happens if the shooter ends up being a Trump voter, just like, the man who tried to
But
kill Donald Trump?
here is my thing. I don't believe that we are going to find out, not from this government, not from this FBI, not from this CIA, not from local law enforcement, who this person was. And if their background affiliation does not match their desired outcome, which is a war on the left and escalation on immigrants, Black people, and people of color, they are going to sweep this under the rug. I do not believe anything that is going to come out. And I pulled this up because so many people in the chat and yesterday and today have been talking about the Reichstag fire, right? And because you are so good, Wash, I want you to give people a 2-minute breakdown of why everyone is talking about the right, because everybody is not as informed and understands or has the historical context that you do as to what the Reichstag fire was and how this is that moment. This is what I believe is that moment. They already again have the military stationed in a handful of blue cities run by Black mayors. Today, folks, right now, HBCUs in Virginia are on lockdown because there have been credible threats of gun violence and bombs against historically Black universities and colleges, as Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are saying and declaring war on the left. Who do you think they are going to target when they come for this? So why is this wash considered a Reichstag moment?
Okay, so the Reichstag fire was in 1933, and it was the German government building that was burned down, and the Nazis seized upon the burning of the Reichstag as a pretext to basically declare martial law and assume power. Right? That's what happened. They declared a state of emergency, and they said, "Oh my God, look, it's the Reichstag fire,"
That they were
and this is
blaming the communists, right? They
yes,
were blaming, yeah.
yeah, specifically the person who was convicted, and it remains debated. They said it was a singular person. It was a communist, and he confessed, and he was the one convicted. But the evidence suggests we don't know. That's why it's all murky. The evidence suggests that it was actually probably too extensive for a single person, and many people thought there was actually an inside job done by the Nazis themselves to give them pretext to declare a state of emergency that allowed Hitler and the Nazis to come in power, consolidate power, and say, hey, 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 folks, everyone trusts me. I'll be the one to lead us through. And then literally, the government is like, okay, we'll give this to you. State of emergency. You're right. Oh my God, Reichstag fire. Oh my God, look at these communists. Oh my God, you're right. Oh, the people are panicking. Okay, Hitler and Nazis, lead us through this. But then you'll be democratic, right? Yeah, I will. So that 1933 moment, which again, it's debated about who actually started the fire. Again, there was one person who was arrested, but an unemployed Dutch worker. They arrested him, but again, history says that it's very muddled, and there's very good credible evidence that Nazis themselves did the fire as a pretext for them to then consolidate power. So when we use Reichstag fire, and I use that, and thank you, Daniel, for asking me, it
Yep.
is when people, and you hear people say that again and again, and it's a throwback to what allowed the Nazis to declare a state of emergency and eventually, literally, essentially, have Hitler emerge as the de facto dictator, and the Nazi Party then came to dominate German politics, and then had their march across Europe, where a genocidal march in which 11 million people were killed, including 6 million Jews. So the Reichstag fire, when I used it, we were joking, but not really. That, oh my God, friggin' big balls is the Reichstag fire for the Trumps, right? Friggin' 19-year-old big balls. Of course, America would be dumb enough that our Reichstag fire would be big balls. But it seems that they're waiting for that Reichstag fire moment. And folks, if you think this is us stretching it, Stephen Miller, according to the Wall Street Journal, when he unleashed masked armed ICE agents in LA, in Home Depot and 7-Eleven, he wanted confrontation. And then furthermore, thank God that the people, the civilians, according to the LAPD, that famous, notorious lefty hippie LAPD that gets along so well with the Black and brown communities of LA, they said, oh, thank you for the assistance, the peaceful resistance. They went out publicly and praised, remember, the LA citizens and residents. And Stephen Miller was really pissed off because he wanted a confrontation. And he has used the word invasion and he used the word, wait for it, insurrection. Danielle, tell him about the Insurrection Act. If the president declares an insurrection, what can the president do to the American people?
Take away your civil liberties. That's what the president of the United States can do. And so, folks, I asked for the breakdown from Waj because I think that it is important for us to be able to connect the dots in this moment and not be fed lone wolves and siloed effects and, oh, now is not the time. Let's not politicize. Let's not talk about these things, because all of this gaslighting is purposeful. The mainstream media needs you to not put the dots together. They need you to just allow this to be what it is, and for you to think twice about calling out Charlie Kirk because, oh my God, aren't you a terrible human? Don't you know somebody lost their life? And how could you not show empathy? How could you not just, have I guess a lapse of amnesia and forget who this person was? But you have to understand that the rhetoric that Donald Trump and MAGA have been using over the last 10 years, but specifically over the last 8 months, have been the use of the term insurrection, war, right? Invasion.
Yep.
These are all key words. If you were saying, SEO, chat GPT, give me SEO optimized words that would, spell the end of civil liberties. This is exactly what they are doing. And it is so. Without an actual person of interest, even though they released this picture that is like murky and grainy and what have you, they have already planted the seeds to have their base believe that this is an attack, an act of war by the left. And so, what does that then give Donald Trump and his administration the ability to do? Come down like a hammer. Now, you would think that Donald Trump would have called in did he call in the National Guard to Utah? I saw that there were militarized folks in Utah, but did Donald Trump actually call in the National Guard to Utah? Did he call in the National Guard to Denver
Nope.
yesterday? Because in all of this that we are forgetting, the news started with Charlie Kirk being shot, and then breaking news, there's a school shooting. But nobody lowered the flags at half mast for them. Nobody lowered the flags at half mast for the Catholic school in Minnesota where 2 children were killed. A
Well, how about
one
North
week
Carolina? North Carolina, Botox Levitt came out earlier this week, and to distract from Epstein and the terrible job numbers, she talked about the Ukrainian refugee woman who's attacked by the immigrant in North Carolina. Any mention of National Guard being sent to North Carolina?
No. So again, Trump's use of the National Guard is a way to, again, I personally believe, to put his Gestapo
Yeah,
in
yeah,
place
yeah.
so that when he rings the martial law bell, it isn't about, oh, now we need to put the troops out. No, no, no. They're already there. So they're able to move very quickly in getting black and brown people off the streets and into custody, right? Hemming people up, closing down any type of dissent. I'm telling you, Matthew Dowd being fired from MSNBC for telling the truth about who Charlie Kirk is and instances of violence and violent rhetoric and how that results in actual physical violence. It is not a leap that we are going to make to say that in a couple of months it is going to be illegal for people like Waj and I, for all of us, not just those with platforms to speak out, but for anyone to post on social media and say, well, didn't Charlie Kirk say this? You could potentially lose your job. We've seen this happen before, folks. So it is not a big leap into shutting down all types of dissent if you're able to say that the left is now some war crazed, violent group, and now everyone needs to be shut down. That is the seeds that they are planting, much in the same way that Donald Trump planted the seeds for the insurrection on January 6th. He is planting the seeds, and they have been planting the seeds of a complete and total authoritarian takeover since January.
I completely agree. And Danielle asked me to explain the Reichstag fire. And as she was talking, I wanted to fact check myself, and I was on point. I just want to read this. The cause of the Reichstag fire remains debated, but it was an arson attack on February 27th, 1933, by Marinus van der Lubbe. While van der Lubbe confessed and was convicted, evidence suggests the fire was too extensive for one person. Some historians argue the Nazis, seeking a pretext for power, were involved, potentially using van der Lubbe. Others asserted he acted alone, while some suggest a communist plot was possible, though this was disproven in court. Regardless, Hitler and Nazis seized upon the fire as a pretext to declare a state of emergency. Specifically, following the 1933 Reichstag fire, Hitler leveraged the event to establish martial law through the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties and allowed for the mass arrest of political opponents, particularly communists. The decree, signed by President Hindenburg at Hitler, they literally gave him power, folks, at Hitler's request, and justified by the Nazi as a response to a communist plot, replace communists with Antifa, BLM, drug
Yep.
traffickers, invaders, effectively dismantled democratic structures and enabled the consolidation of Nazi power, leading to the establishment of the totalitarian Third Reich. And as Danielle said, real quick, Hitler used the fire to persuade Hindenburg to pass the emergency law, which restricted personal liberties. The decree for the protection of the people and state restricted free speech and freedom of press and allowed the imprisonment of enemies without trial. Who has also invoked the Alien Enemies Act to essentially detain and deport brown folks without due process? Stephen Miller. When was the Alien Enemies Act in the United States of America? During World War II. What was it used to do? Without due process, to literally intern American citizens of Japanese descent without any evidence, ruined lives. Stephen Miller said that we're under invasion, we're at war right now, which gives me the ability to declare the Alien Enemies Act. And the Supreme Court rarely, which disagrees with Donald Trump and the second administration, said no, 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 there's no Alien Enemies Act, folks. By the way, I just want to give myself a tap on the shoulder. I pretty much got it. I just want to double check for all of
Very
y'all.
good.
But it's what we've been saying: Reichstag fire moment, a pretext to declare a martial law, create an enemy, say that I'm the president of the United States by the power invested in me that the House will give me and the Supreme Court will give me and the Senate will give me and the corporate media will give me. I will keep you all safe. I will attack the enemy. It's not the communists, but it is, Danielle, Antifa, BLM, Tren de Aragua, El Salvadoran drug leaders. And guess what? I have to temporarily restrict liberties and freedoms to keep you safe. And folks, bringing back full circle, this is the 24th anniversary of 9/11. Danielle, I was marching the streets as a young man, 21 years old, and I tried to warn, like so many others did, that the war
Mm-hmm.
on terror
Mm-hmm.
would be a disaster. And
Mm-hmm.
I and others tried to warn that Americans are giving up their personal liberties for the feeling, of security. What did people do? They said, we don't care. Go after those goddamn Muslims. Go after those goddamn terrorists. Go ahead and create the Patriot Act. Go ahead and surveil. Go ahead, Danielle, wait for it. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
kicker,
Mm-hmm.
and create ICE, which did not exist before 9/11. And we said, folks, this type of broad power, this strengthening of the military industrial complex, this forfeiting of our civil liberties in the wrong hands can and will be used not against the Muslims and the terrorists and Afghanistan and Taliban, but could be used against Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle, who is being unleashed right now against American citizens and residents?
Would that be the Department of War? Would that
I
be Would that be the Department of War and ICE and the Department of Homeland Security? And as our, as fucking Putin pulls out drones to fly over Poland that need to be shot down by NATO jets for the first time in the history of NATO, where is Donald Trump pointing all of his military energy and money? Towards the United States, towards the people of this country, while we are on the verge of fucking World War III. Right? What is Donald Trump? Everything, folks, every single thing that has been happening over the last several months is all part of their plan of escalation. It is all part of the power grab, folks. Like every single fucking thing that has taken place has all been about the big bullshit billionaire bill and the passage of that in order to add more money, in order to add hundreds of billions of dollars to ICE, in order to pay back Donald Trump's donors so that they could do what? Build more private prisons so that they could house all of these undocumented immigrants. But guess who's going in there when they run out of those people? Everyone else that is a dissenter. So right now, when you were talking about a war on the left and the radical left and these radical lunatics, who do you think that they are going after next? It's taken away guns from transgender people. It is taken away rights from Muslim people. It's going to be throwing black people in jail. It's going to be starting to arrest, right, the political dissenters, the few that come and speak out in Congress. He's already building up criminal cases against the Fed Gov Lisa Cook. It is already happening, folks.
Already happening.
It
Already
is
happening.
already happening. So
You want
everybody,
some
like,
breaking news? You want some breaking news? State
yes.
Department is warning immigrants not to mock Charlie Kirk's death. I'll mock him for his not his death. I'll mock him for his hate. I'll mock him for wasting his life in radicalizing people. I'll mock him for being a tool of a vulgarian criminal with cankles. I'll mock him for spreading hate and lack of empathy, even though now that's what they're demanding in his death. I'll mock him for the tragic irony that gun control could have saved Charlie Kirk's life. The same gun control that he mocked and ridiculed after other mass shootings because he was perfectly fine with other people dying for his liberty to carry the guns. And the tragic irony that he was shot and killed after promoting the talking pot about transgender mass shooters, and his last words were gang violence. The tragic irony. And no one's mocking him. All right. They're talking about his hate. But so much for freedom of speech, right? My response to that is, okay, suppose an immigrant does mock him. So what? Right? Like freedom of
But
speech.
is this not the suspension of free speech? If the State Department is releasing that and telling immigrants not to mock his, so we don't even know who is an immigrant or who is not, right? Because guess what? The Supreme Court just said that if you happen to be speaking, if you happen to be speaking Arabic, I'm speaking Spanish walking down the street. Guess what? We have the right to be picked up. We have the right to be thrown against the wall. We have the right to be kidnapped in an unmarked vehicle by masked agents. So who is the State Department actually warning? They are warning black and brown people. They are warning everyone that is not white and saying that if you mock, if you talk about, if you offer up the receipts, if you run the clips, if you run the fucking headlines of Charlie Kirk, they are coming after you. Folks, this is not just, it is happening in front of you, right? Like this is happening. So this is the State Department essentially threatening the American people. That's what that is. And for
Well, it's
anyone
worse.
that
It's
doesn't
worse.
see that,
The federal government has issued a warning to immigrants that if they say anything negative about Charlie Kirk, their visas will be revoked. So that means Donald Trump can mock Paul Pelosi while wearing a diaper on his ear. Charlie Kirk could mock Paul Pelosi and encourage his base to bail him out. Mike Lee, the senator of Utah, you can't make this shit up. Mike Lee, the senator of Utah, do you remember the tweets that he did?
Yep. Yep.
Mocking
Yep.
Governor Walz,
Yep.
Nightmare
His
on Wall
son.
Street
His son.
massacre. His son, remember that?
Yep.
So they can mock openly, First Amendment. And when you call them out on it, they say, take a joke, stop being politically incorrect. But as of today, the federal government has issued a warning to immigrants that if they say anything negative about Charlie Kirk, their visas will be revoked. Wow.
You know, I just like folks have to understand that we are in it now. This is not about, oh, rising fascism, or oh, is America fascist? Like, oh, the debating is done. It is here. The question is now, what do we do? Right? Like, this is the thing. This is the circle jerk that fucking Democrats are doing right now. It's like, well, he, like, let me waste my time and, let me offer up my condolences to Charlie Kirk. Let me not say anything too inflammatory because now is not the time. Let me not talk about the Epstein files. Let me not do this. Let me not do that. Oh, we'll get things done the right way. What is the right way when your fucking president is a criminal? What is the right way when you have white nationalists and fascists in charge of government? What is the right way to act? Like, what? Tell me what the right way to is to move in the way that mainstream white corporate media is moving, to gaslight, to stonewall, to fire, to silence. What is the right way to act when every single right that has been fought for over the last 60 years is being erased in the last 8 months? Tell me what the right way to act is, because I'll tell you, when Colin Kaepernick was fucking kneeling and being in silent protest, that wasn't the right way. When people put fists in the air, right, silently, that wasn't the right way. So, which way is the right way? You tell me.
Oh, and also look at the double standards. Look at the both sides bullshit. Look at the hypocrisy. Free speech for me, no free speech for thee. Safety and security for me, gun violence for thee. Civility for me, cruelty for thee. I get to say whatever I want if I'm Charlie Kirk. I can say that black people were better off in slavery. I can say I feel nervous if I see a black pilot. I can say, oh, gay people should be stoned to death. I can mock and ridicule Islam and Muslims. I can promote white nationalist conspiracy theories. I can say vaccine requirements are medical apartheid. I can say MLK was a horrible person. I could say that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. I can say there should be no separation of church and state. I can talk about armed militias needing to make this country Christian and white again. I can say all of that, but how dare you if you ever mock me? Oh, never again. It is authoritarianism. They are fickle. And Danielle, I want to ask you about this. I was thinking about this, bringing it back full circle. You and I have often talked about, in order for you and me to have statues and monuments and buildings named after me, we would have to create statues and buildings and monuments.
Correct.
And this country elevates and romanticizes in death the world's worst, most mediocre men, including racist, treasonous slavers who seceded from this country in order to own black people and who lost the war. And then they still got statues, they got bases named after them, they got monuments named after them. And you sit there and think, well, how could a society allow that to happen? This was a racist, secessionist, piece of shit, mediocre man who lost a war. And I give you Charlie Kirk in death, rehabilitated, in death, all his sins whitewashed, in death, every single horrible thing he did rationalized to placate white conservative rage. Look at what they're doing in real time, folks, which is what I said yesterday, Danielle, and I'll say again, don't concede an inch. Do not concede an inch to Trump, Republicans, MAGA, and all these corporate media hacks with their paternalistic finger wagging who are telling us, you can't criticize Charlie Kirk. You can't call out the hypocrisy. F that and F you. The reason why, I'm talking about my white colleagues in media, the reason why they say, tut, 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 you know why, Danielle? This doesn't affect them. This doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
Because they could sit there and party with Charlie Kirk. They can sit there and hobnob in the green room with MAGA. They can sit there and cheat with them, and have sex with them and divorce them and marry them and golf with them, right? None of it affects them. It affects us. So they sit there and say, be civil. Now, brown cow and black cow, please do it the right way. Don't say anything bad. Now's not the time. As they are literally unleashing the National Guard, as they have literally said they can use racial profiling to crack black and brown skills, as literally the State Department is threatening to revoke the visas of immigrants for mocking Charlie Kirk. F them all.
Fuck them all. I just sent you a link because on social media, Democratic Wins Media posted what looks like a presser that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries did. C-SPAN covered
Don't
it.
depress me. Don't depress me.
And they say, and again, I don't know if it was posted today. I don't know if this is today. Breaking: Democratic leadership just came together and delivered the most powerful rebuke of Donald Trump's dangerous and divisive rhetoric we've seen. We need more of this. Look at the clip.
Jeffries, has it? Okay. Coming together is all we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame. This moment requires leadership that brings American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. That's what they said. Um, uh, what else? I don't really see it. Do you see it?
I mean, I'm watching it. Let me see if I can
Do
make
you
it
see it?
louder.
You tell me what.
Hold on.
I can hear it.
Okay, they're asking for the question. Hold on. The question was asked about what are your reaction to Donald Trump accusing the radical left? That was the question. So here is Schumer.
This is a time that all Americans
I can
should
hear it.
come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame. This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together as opposed to trying to further divide us. Political violence in any form against any American is unacceptable, should be denounced by everyone. And moving forward, we have to figure out a better way to come together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans.
Okay, so they said absolutely nothing of note.
Yeah.
It
So I
was
don't understand.
basically Hakeem Jeffries saying that we should denounce all political violence on both sides, come together, not as Republicans or Democrats, but as Americans. No, what you should be saying is that, this is the moment where if I'm Democrats, every time I'm being asked about this, every time I'm being asked about Charlie Kirk, I'm talking about Representative Melissa Hortman. Every
Yep.
time that I'm asked about Charlie Kirk, I'm talking about Paul Pelosi. Every time that I'm asked about Charlie Kirk,
Yep.
I'm recanting and saying, "Did you listen to this clip? Do you understand that Donald Trump said this? Have you asked the president why he did not attend the funeral of Melissa Hortman? Did you ask the president why he did not put down the flags at half mast for the shootings that happened in Minnesota and the shooting in Denver? Do you ask the president why in his first term in 2018 we saw an increase in school shootings that we had never seen before? Did you
Yep.
ask the president of the
Yep.
United States why we have not been brought together and why he continues to stoke the flames the flames of violence? Have you asked the president any of these questions? So until you ask the president of these United States that has the biggest bullhorn, right, and platform, these questions, don't come to Democrats and ask us anything about Charlie Kirk. That's what
And,
I
and,
would say.
and Elizabeth Warren yesterday, great response.
Oh, she had
Pritzker,
a good response.
and also Pritzker. Just do that.
Pritzker had a
Uh,
great response.
you condemn it and also pivot back and say, what the F? Look at Donald Trump and his own words and his own tweets and his own meeps. What are you talking about? I would bring all. They're not built for this fight, folks. Danielle and I have
No.
told you they're not built for this fight. They are not made for this moment. They're going to harm America. They are harming America. They are terrible leaders. They're not built for this. Look at that response. You had an entire night, and that's the best. That's
You
the
came up
best
with.
you can come up with. Just, I want them to just freaking launch them into the sun. Launch them into the sun. This is why I have said, and I think 3,000 people watching us, do not concede an inch. From last night, I have not conceded an inch. Danielle has not conceded an inch. Mehdi has not conceded an inch. We have brought all the receipts. I did a whole hour last night, folks, about Donald Trump's stochastic terrorism. Give me a minute, Daniel. Let me do it top of my head. All right. Donald Trump's stochastic terrorism for the past 10 years. Okay. Donald Trump, as he was running for office, Donald Trump, we have it on camera, openly encouraging his protesters to beat up the people who are protesting him. He said, I'll pay your legal fees. Donald Trump called the press the enemy of the people, used Stalin's word. Caesar Sayoc in the first Trump administration, a Trumper, sent functional pipe bombs to all of Trump's critics. He's in jail right now. He said he was radicalized by Donald Trump. Teachers sent that piece of useless shit, Merrick Garland, a written message begging them for protection because MAGA and Trumpers were threatening for violence, for masks during COVID. Friggin' Dr. Fauci and doctors and scientists were fearing for their lives because MAGA and Donald Trump attacked them, right? And with all these COVID conspiracies. Shay Moss, remember the poll workers in Georgia, mother and daughter, said that they had to go in hiding. They got death threats because Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani targeted them. The person who hammered Paul Pelosi, Trump voter. The person who tried to kill Donald Trump, Trump voter. The people who had a coordinated plan to kidnap Governor Whitmer, Trump voter. The people who did arson on Governor Shapiro's house, Trump voters, right? The person who attacked the CDC last month, killed a cop, Trump voter. The person who tried to attack the FBI office after Donald Trump blamed the deep state and he was promptly killed by the FBI, Trump voter. The 1,600 violent insurrectionists who came to the U.S. Capitol, who smeared shit in the U.S. Capitol, who beat up cops, who tried to assassinate Mike Pence, Trump voters. That was top of my head. What more? Why couldn't Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Schumer say that?
I have no idea. I have no
Melissa Hortman, our
idea.
colleague Melissa Hortman, just 2 months ago, our colleague, the person who killed her and had a hit list of 70 people, Trump voter.
Yeah. Look, I think that my favorite Maya Angelou quote: when people show you who they are, whether that be the president, whether that be a political party, whether that be mainstream corporate media, whether that be your own parents, your own family, when people show you who they are, believe them. Believe them the first fucking time. But absolutely, after 10 goddamn years of Trumpism, fucking believe what they are saying. Believe who they are. Believe what it is that they say. I don't know why we spend so much energy and time trying to debate what they tell us in their own words, what they show us in their policies, what they say and what they don't say. For the love of fucking God, stop the debate and start the action. Stop the fucking the flaccid fucking democratic responses and actually start to speak from your goddamn chest.
Yep.
Like, we are out of time. America is out of time. The troops and the boots are on the ground. It is not when, it's not if martial law is going to be declared, Waj, it is when.
I agree with you. I agree. You and I have been saying it. Folks, if I'm proven wrong, I'll eat halal crow. I've been very honest. I was wrong about the 2024 election. I told Piers Morgan if I was wrong, I'd eat halal crow. I came on a show. My mom was over. She made me liver. I ate halal liver. I thought it would be the exact opposite. I thought she would win by 1.5 points. She lost by 1.4 points. I thought she'd get like 310 or so votes in the Electoral College. He did, all right? I was right about 2020. I was right about 2004. I was right that Donald Trump will not leave in 2019. I was right that white supremacist talking points would be mainstream by 2024, 2025. I was right that Marjorie Taylor Greene would be the president and future of the party. I was right about the mainstreaming of white nationalist talking points and the what did I say? I said love has gone intersectional, so has hate. I've been studying this to 2011, and Danielle and I are telling you, believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. Take them literally and seriously, folks. I hope I am wrong. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be proven wrong. He's not leaving. He is not leaving. This man is openly saying he's going to run for 2028. He cannot run. And this country says in a hypothetical matchup between Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump, Gavin Newsom wins by 1 point. He can't run. Amy Barrett was asked about this in the Fox News, and she says, "Well, that's what that's what the amendment says. That's what the amendment says." Remember that? Harry Dunn. Hey, Harry. Yes, exactly. Willingly, he can't leave. Willingly, he won't leave. Absolutely right. He pardoned the 1,600 violent insurrectionists. He has made a martyr of Ashley Babbitt. He has made a martyr of Charlie Kirk. They are attacking mail in voting. He literally told Republicans, I want 100 seats. Missouri's following. Texas already did it. They're going to go state by state and try to rig the elections. Watch my interview with Ari Berman 2 days ago. He lists out the 10 ways they're doing it. It's a really good, I'm not just saying because I did, it's a fantastic conversation. He's a great reporter from Mother Jones. Folks, listen to Stephen Miller. We always tell you about Stephen Miller, the shadow president. There's two shadow presidents, Stephen Miller, Russell Vought. Just listen to his words. He's saying invasion, insurrection, Alien Enemies Act. Yesterday, I was talking to Olivia Troy. She said that when she was working with Stephen Miller and she resigned from the first Trump administration, she said, straight up, true believer, white nationalist, Danielle, he wanted to bomb Mexico. That was his
Yep.
dream, to bomb Mexico and Central America. So what do we do? Someone's asking, what do we do? This is my take, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
give it to Danielle to finish
Mm-hmm.
it off. And I hope you
Yep.
all can come back at 3:30. I'm going to be talking to Spencer Ackerman. Spencer Ackerman wrote a fantastic book called Reign of Terror a couple of years ago, in which he said that without the war on terror, we would not have Trump. He linked the dots, whereas my book, if you will, was more personal. His book is more structural. He says no war on terror, no Donald Trump. And speaking about the fact that this is 9/11 and now Trump has gone authoritarian, it's just the perfect timing to bring Spencer. He's going to come on at 3:30. He's going to come on Zoom, and I'll put it up later. But Danielle, I think what people should do is first and foremost, the reason I criticize the Democrats is because they're amenable to criticism. They can move. If you don't criticize them, you get Schumer and you get Jeffries. You've seen all the polls. They see the polls. The wind is shifting. You have to pressure them. There are tools that you have to sharpen. Number one. Number two, as Danielle says, shut this ish down. You have to pressure them to shut down the funding of the government. According to the latest rumblings, they're actually considering this. Make it pronounced. Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. Shut this shit down. Number three, strike, boycotts, shut it down. Do not, this country worships money. Without our dollars, folks, another cankle of Donald Trump. Look at the numbers today, the economic numbers this week. Danielle, it's looking bad. It looks like we're going towards a recession. And
It's
then the
not a
final,
recession. It's going to be a depression. I keep telling folks it is not a recession.
I hope it doesn't, but it looks like it. And then finally, I would say strategically, Epstein. Epstein files are not going away. Thomas Massey said he's on top of it. Today, they just released a whole bunch of emails. That is a weakness. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Danielle.
So here's what I will say in closing. What do I think that people should do? And I'm going to echo what you just said, and I'm going to say what I say every single show that I do on YouTube, on the Danielle Moody Show. We need a national strike. We
Mm-hmm.
are not voting our way out of fascism. We are not going to have midterm elections that are free and fair in 2026.
We
So,
won't.
for
We won't.
those people that are sitting and holding their breath and crossing their fingers and their toes, believing that somehow the institutions are holding, they have not. The institutions fell. The institutions fell when Donald Trump got 3 Supreme Court nominations because Mitch McConnell helped him steal two of them, right?
Yep.
Amy Coney Barrett was
Yep.
rushed through after Biden was elected in 2020, and he rushed through her nomination process. And guess what? Democrats didn't call foul. They didn't stop it. They allowed it to go forward. He stole Merrick Garland's seat. Not
Yep.
like I think Merrick Garland would have made a good Supreme Court justice, but nonetheless, Donald Trump got 3 fucking picks. That's
Yep.
why we are where we are. So for folks to say that the institutions held, no, the institutions actually fell when Donald
Nope.
Trump was able to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices to give us the white nationalist 6-3 court that we have now. That's one. Two, national strike. Why? Because the only reason why the government was able to operationalize and get us vaccines and reopen places was because of the economy. The economy, the economy. They didn't actually care so much that 1 million Americans died with COVID. They cared that people stopped working and were sent home to work. And corporations and capitalism can't have that, right? And so we had to get the people healthy and get them back. And then CEOs talking to the CDC and saying, no, folks can't stay home for 2 weeks with COVID. No, no, no. We got to be able to bring them back in 5 days. So I am telling you, if we shut this country down, if we have a national strike, and I'm not talking about a day, I'm not talking about a week, I'm talking about putting in the effort, the persistence, and the passion that fueled the Montgomery bus boycott that lasted 18 months. I'm talking about us taking care of each other and our neighbors and not working, not answering the call of capitalism and taking the oligarchs down. The reason why they have wealth, the reason why they have power is because of us. Because of us. A pyramid cannot stand without a base. You do not have a base, right? So we are the base of America's engine. We are the base of this American pyramid. And if we stop, right? If we form a national strike, if we take some signals from Nepal, if we take some signals from France, if we take signals from South Korea, we can actually shut this entire fascist shit down. The how is already being done around the world. Other fascist governments are falling. America needs to take a page out of other people's books. That's what we need to do.
And I will end that with a exclamation point of a breaking news that in Brazil, Brazil's Supreme Court just ruled that former president, ally of Trump, who tried to reverse his 2022 election loss with a plot that included plans to assassinate Lula, that Bolsonaro was just found guilty in an attempted coup and assassination plot. Congratulations, Brazil. Congratulations,
Congratulations.
world, for learning from our mistakes because mother effing useless Merrick Garland and our institutions refuse to hold Donald Trump accountable for inciting a violent insurrection. And this mother effer will never spend a day of his life in jail despite being a criminal because of his wealth, his whiteness, his celebrity, and because this country freaking bends the knee to white rage and elevates white rage and white grievance against every other grievance on earth, including the very real grievances of women, black people, immigrants, uh, and people of color. And if you don't believe me, I give you the sanitization and the whitewashing of Charlie Kirk and his numerous hateful rhetoric. The fact that this mother effer is being lauded and applauded, that the fact that this guy is going to get the Congressional Medal of Freedom, the fact that this guy is being prayed for, and nothing for Melissa Hortman, mockery for Paul Pelosi, nothing for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It just goes to show you whose lives really matter in America. And we know whose lives have always mattered in America. It ain't me and it ain't Danielle. But guess what? Without us, this country falls. Ooh, without us, this country falls, baby. So we got to shut it down. Danielle, shamelessly promote yourself before we head out.
Folks, you are watching this right now on the left hook as well as the damn digest. I put up content on a regular basis. Please consider becoming a subscriber. Just like Waj, I will never put my content behind a paywall, but if you have a few bucks, if you have the ability to become a paid subscriber to the damn digest, do consider doing so and support independent media. I also host the Danielle Moody Show, which is live Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, where Waj and I will be live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern for Democracy Ish, which we host on Mondays and on Fridays on on my YouTube channel. Again, I'm working to get to 40,000. So if you have the ability to subscribe to YouTube, free, please consider doing so. Continue to support independent media and voices while we still have the right to speak out.
Folks, I'll be back. Like, I can't even speak. I've been speaking so much. I'm so tired, but I'll be back with Francesca in 45 minutes because I'm an idiot. And we'll do another live. And I'm going to record a conversation with Spencer Ackerman, who wrote this book called Reign of Terror, How the 9/11 Era Destabilized America and Produced Trump. And he writes the Forever Wars newsletter. I'll have it up later tonight. Strongly recommend people listening to it. Folks, subscribe to Danielle. Go to her YouTube channel. We'll be back tomorrow for Democracy Ish at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted on Danielle's YouTube and on our Substacks. This is The Left Hook. Like Danielle, no paywalls. Be kind. Take care of yourselves. If you have a few dollars, become a paid subscriber to Danielle. If you have a few more, become my paid subscriber. If not, become a free subscriber. I hope you all rest. It's a long walk.
Yep.
We can be joyful, healthy, rested warriors. And please, oh please, don't be a fascist. Thank you to the 3,300 people who joined us. Take care, everyone.
Amazing. Bye.